Welcome to Couple of Instigators. I am here with Sam. Everything political is Sam.
Hello, everyone.
Yes. I'm exhausted from this politics. And, I love that how do you keep up, Sam?
I just actually read news every day. I
Right.
listen to Pod Save America.
Pod Save America.
Yes. I like them. They are left-leaning for sure.
Right.
Because they worked for President Obama, of course, Jon Favreau and Tommy Vitor.
Okay.
But I like them because nobody's safe. Like they will badmouth Democrat policy, Republican policy. They don't care. But I like them because they are actual politicos, but they're also comedian. They're funny. And they really take what's in the news and what's happening, and they make it to where I can understand it.
Okay, so is this a daily podcast?
It's weekly, twice a week, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Tuesday and Friday. And so that's why I like to listen to them, because they break everything down piece by piece, what's going on. They compare it to things like when they were in the Obama administration, they were his speechwriters.
Okay.
And so they just know how the White House works. Well, how the White House is supposed to work,
right.
I guess you could say. And so I get a lot of stuff from them, but I try to just read it. I've never seen anything like this, though, Cindy, where it's just daily headline.
I have the news. Okay, so I have the news on all day at work, but you know what I mean? The phones are ringing. I work in a kitchen. It's hectic. It's not like we can consistently pay attention, but it's all day, and I get bits and pieces all day. And I have to say, I have had CNN on a lot, and they are just so biased to the left. It's that I'm just kind of like, it got exhausting. So then I'm like, I put on MSNBC, and I'm like, honestly, they're not as biased as CNN. But for me, I just wanted some other news. And
Right.
I find myself I put Fox on to it, because I'm like, you know what? The truth is always in the middle somewhere too. I mean, both
Right.
of them are CNN is so far one, and obviously Fox is so far on the other way. But I have to say, because I think Trump and the Republicans right now it's just so ridiculous that Fox does report on other news, because I think they're having a hard time defending.
Oh, yeah.
You know what right. So I'm like, well, at least I get like other things that are going on that is somewhat news. Now, I've had people tell me that to listen to like the BBC, or what is it? Or
BBC, yeah. PBS, oftentimes.
PBS.
Unbiased.
Is there a channel for PBS, like on TV? Like, is there an all-day news channel?
No. I read most of my news because I don't watch Fox News and I don't watch CNN.
You just read, okay.
But if you read, a Fox News article, that's
Right.
not opinion. Most of the time, that's just straight up fact. MSNBC, it doesn't really matter. The print news is factual news with a lot less opinion put in.
Okay.
So I tend to read, because I can read a Fox News article and it's just relaying the same information that 10 other articles put out that day. They're not putting spin on it. There's some that you can tell they're still right or left leaning by the verbiage
right.
they use.
But CNN is just like, oh my God, Sam, I was just like got exhausted with the doom and gloom. And
yes.
They have people on all day that have loved ones that died of COVID. And I understand, and we're going to get into all that, because you're not, did you test negative yet?
They don't test you getting out. They just ended my quarantine and said,
right.
Good luck.
So Sam has been battling COVID. We're going to get into all of that. But, I mean, there's just only so much of the doom and gloom. And then I just turn it off and put on the radio.
Yeah. And the problem with that is they're hammering home so much on the COVID stuff. I think that, as much as anything, is leading to the COVID fatigue. that everybody has. I mean, I just had the stuff and I had COVID fatigue, you know. I already had it before I had it, you know.
Yeah. So let's get straight into the COVID, you know. So you tested, well, let's talk about the testing. Let's start from the beginning, which is insane.
Oh, my word. So I start noticing I'm not feeling great. I have some, just a few things are cropping up. My kids are starting to look like they're getting colds, and I'm like, oh man, like, is this normal? We have allergies. I live in Kansas. It's allergy city right now.
They're so bad right now up here.
So bad right now.
I mean, I have never had allergy attacks, and I swear, it's been bad. So
everywhere. We play a game called Plague or Pollen. Like, do we have
That's it. I love that. Plague or Pollen. I think that's what we're naming this podcast.
Yes, Plague or Pollen. I couldn't tell. Right. And I start just getting an inkling like this. I'm starting to feel like,
and now I feel ashamed because you have texted more than once being like, oh, I don't feel good. I'm like, you're going to be fine. There's no cases. And then a couple days, and you're like, oh, yeah, it was probably allergies. And then one time you really fucking have it.
I know. It's so shocking. When you actually realize you have it, it's like, oh, my God. Like, how did this actually happen? I didn't think this was actually going to happen. You know?
I know.
And we pretty much knew when my husband started running a high fever at 4 a.m. and I lost taste and smell. Completely. Right. And that was the two things they were telling us to look out for. And so we telemedicine with our doctor Thursday morning 3 weeks ago. And, you know, I just told her, you know, we're having these symptoms. I think we need to be tested because I don't want to send my kids to school that day.
But also, weren't you exposed at your office?
Perhaps. We don't actually know.
Oh, I thought you knew someone who came in that had COVID.
We did, and that was a month before, and we didn't catch it then. So we'd had a few near misses with tenants and one of our employees.
That is so crazy, Sam, because you don't live in a huge hotspot.
No. I mean, we are a red zone area, but not like
nothing like Arizona. And I mean, Florida, like, I was like, Sam, you don't have COVID. Nobody in your state has COVID right now. You're fine. You're like, oh, okay.
Well, because you don't want to believe it. But I didn't want to send my kids to school, so I knew we had to be tested.
Right.
So we do. It takes 4 days, Cindy, to get our test results. 4 days still. We are 8 months into this, and
now you're sick. Now you and your husband are sick after
now
that.
We know for sure. By the time our tests come in, it's become very obvious that our children have it. We have it. They call and my husband is positive and I am negative.
Well, wait, didn't they tell you were positive first?
No, my husband thought they'd given us both results. So he thought they were calling on behalf of both of us. So he's like, we have it. The health department's going to be calling us, and we're like, great. But we already knew, so we were like not surprised. Okay. And then the health department calls, my husband talks to him, and they're going on about as long as the rest of us can quarantine away from him, which how are we going to do that in the same damn house? Ridiculous.
And it's so
And he says, well, my wife is positive too, and she's like, why I didn't have her attached to here. So it takes 3 more hours before they call me with my results and tell me I'm negative. Well, I know at that moment I am 100% not negative.
No.
Like, I don't have taste and smell. I feel like crap.
Yeah.
We're both in running fevers. We have so many of the telltale.
Didn't you say that your sinuses were burning?
Oh yeah, that came second week. Second week, felt like I had acid in my face. Yeah, that was not one of the funner things. Oh, we've got Jen.
And Margaret.
Hey.
We're just getting the clip. We're getting
waxed biscuit.
Yeah, and Margaret's back from her waxed biscuit. Well, listen, Margaret, I'm going to go back to we're getting the COVID update from Sam right now. She's telling the story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt regular scheduling programming with biscuit news.
Yeah, no. Well, we're going to talk about your biscuit in 1 second. So,
right.
So Sam, so you find out, well, they told you you're negative, which clearly you're not.
Right. So I tell them, okay, well, the reason I know this is probably not true is for all the following reasons. Mm-hmm. I will tell you, only my drive to be smart, not spread this virus, and be a COVIDiot, that I save my community, because they were willing to accept that negative result and were going to let me out of the house in a matter of a few days. Yeah. And I literally had to tell the health department, no, we need to be in quarantine. Yep. We all have it. They didn't order a new test, nothing. They gave us 14 more days and called it a day.
Right. So just let this be a heads up, people. You are the third person that has had a negative result that clearly you didn't get retested, but I had somebody get retested and it was positive. Mm-hmm. I also have a friend who works for one of the labs, and she did say that the false positive or negative is very high. Mm-hmm. So you are proof.
Yeah, so just be wary, everybody. The testing is off. The response from your health departments might not be great. Right. And that's the reason this thing is spreading. There's a lot of error. I had a pretty moderate case. I'm coming out of it, which is great. But I was sick a good 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, and I mean, and you're not a 70-year-old. You're
no 40 years old.
Healthy,
no pre-existing conditions.
You're a healthy person.
Mm-hmm. But overall, COVID, I give it 0 stars. Do not recommend.
So really quick. Margaret, I'm definitely recording with you next week because we need all the updates about the boobs, about everything. But so you've really been stressing about this Brazilian, right? Margaret?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I've been very stressed about it.
So, how did it go?
I mean, my butt crack is still numb, so the biscuit is very red and angry.
So, you had a Brazilian?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
My very first one ever.
Right, and you had to do a grow out process?
Yeah, that's why I've never had anything really waxed before, because, yeah, it's great that it's extra smooth for a week or two, but then you have to be fully hippie hairy for another 2 weeks to let it grow back to wax again. So, but when I got my boobs done a month ago, I knew my husband wasn't going to be able to get anywhere near me for a while, so I figured that was a good time to let the grass grow. And explore this wax thing, because apparently all my friends get it done, and they
you know what, you need to quit being such a follower. Your friends all got new titties, and then you had to. I know. What are you willing to do next? If they say, Margaret, you need to take ayahuasca and jump off this bridge, are you going to do that?
Yes. Well, no. It's funny. I actually thought about that because I don't consider myself easily influenced, and I really don't. I'm not doing this because my friends have it, so I want it too.
Right.
It's more
it's just starting to look that way.
I think I learned more about it. What?
It's just starting to look that way.
Obviously, I'm not. I know. I've noticed it too. But obviously, I think my pink hair is evidence that I don't just do things because I want to be like my friends.
Yeah, none of your friends. Let's say none of them have pink hair, right?
No, not at all.
Okay, so I'm not so concerned. Then I feel like you still have your own mind.
I very much. My friends would attest to that.
So for you, it's just oh well, I've now learned more about this, so I'm gonna do it. I can accept that.
Yeah, the boob thing was never on my radar because they were a decent size. They weren't huge.